This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon/Two-Headed Nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Our story this week picks up where we left off last week.
Broadcasting from the ziggurat at Omaha in caves, deep below the metro area where our giant generator isn't humming like it used to. It's our pleasure to welcome you to episode 734 of the Two-Headed Nerd comic book podcast. I'm your head number one, the internet's Joe Patrick.
I'm your head number two. My name is Matt Baum, and you would think after 734 episodes of this, Joe Patrick would know it is a cavern, not a cave. But it's time for another back issue show, and this time, our sentient cosmic longbox has us looking back at the writing career of a THN favorite creator with a new book out at Image this week. His name is Rick Remender.
Are you sure I said cave?
100%. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said that.
Okay. Because I know I forgot to say the word hidden. After that, we'll set you up with our must-read picks for next week's new comics. But now, we're not jumping back as far back in time as usual, but I hope we remember how to get home. Get it? Remender? Oh, whatever. It's back issue review time in the ziggurat.
Rick Remender began his career working as an animator on films like The Iron Giant, Titan AE, and the 2000 Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle film featuring Academy Award winner Robert De Niro. It was during this time he found his true calling in creating comics, and his first published work, Captain Dingleberry, became a monumental hit that changed comics forever. Of course, I am kidding, but he would go on to become one of Joe and I's favorite writers, and the Cosmic Longbox was listening last week when we said Rick Remender never fails, so it's putting that theory to the test.
Yeah, I remembered that quote when I read my comics this week.
We'll be digging into 7 issues from his catalog and his latest addition to the Giant Generator imprint at Image, hitting the stands this week. Joe Patrick, here's to hoping we don't piss off one of our favorites. Why don't you go first?
First up for me is Nightmare number 1. This is from IDW. It is from 2005. It is written by Remender and Kieran Dwyer, with art by Dwyer.
Those guys
design and letters.
We're going to see these guys work together a lot. They are
we are.
Best bros, apparently.
They are bros. Dwyer also worked on Remender's Blackheart Billy, kind of like punk robot book that he did before he broke into mainstream comics. Design and letters are by Robbie Robbins. It's 32 pages for $3.99. That's how you have to say his name.
Is that right?
Robbie Robbins,
Okay.
like a Stan Lee style alliteration. Gotcha. Near mint value for this puppy is $3.99.
Yeah.
Technically, I guess $4 because no comic shop's gonna have it in a bag and a board.
They probably mark it up a quarter to pay for the bag and board, right? That's
well, yeah, but I mean, it's not worth anything more than what you paid for it in 2005. Here's your solicit. And all of our books are from the previews age of comics, so they all have actual solicits. Or at least mine do. Meet Mary Spector, a misunderstood teenage girl trained to be a lucid dreamer. Mary's father runs a sleep disorder clinic where Mary enters the ghastly dreams of severely disturbed people in an attempt to help them. When a patient is revealed to be a serial killer, the nightmare world and the waking one become intertwined, putting Mary in real jeopardy. Set in a world where the boundaries between dreams and reality are tenuous, Nightmare, courtesy of Rick Remender and Kieran Dwyer, is a very dark and terrifying trip into psychological horror. Yeah, that checks out.
Totally.
Nightmare feels very like tropey in a way.
Oh, big time.
And let me explain. Like, we've all seen that show where it's like, main character Joe Schmo is an expert in X, but when the case is solved at the end of the first episode, we learn that they're also haunted by X.
Yeah, just like Hellstrom, Hulu's huge Marvel hit, right? I mean, like, oh,
right.
man.
It's like Dexter, a serial killer who's also a serial killer who also solves murders.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
No, but like, look, it's a great trope. We love it.
It's no shade,
you
no
can't
shade at
fight
all.
it, right?
Right. Remender and Dwyer's script takes enough twists and turns. Like, I was still left guessing by the end. I thought I knew where it was going, and then it went in a direction I wasn't expecting.
I think that's going to be like a reoccurring theme for like one of his writing tricks.
Yeah.
He loves to mess with the writer, and we're going to see it, the reader, pardon me, and we're going to see it again and again.
Yeah, for sure. Mary's dad seems like a real piece of shit. He's constantly bagging on her for not pushing her patience when a bunch of people got killed last time she did it.
Yeah, but like, that's also part of the trope, right? You have the one person's like, it is all in the name of science. And, like, of course, there will be eggs that need to be cracked when making an omelet or whatever.
Yeah. No, I stand by my statement. He's a real piece of shit.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying, like, you need that character.
He's also very dismissive of her when the feds show up.
Oh, yeah.
To offer help. He's like, oh, that'll be all, Mary. He closes the door in her face. Harumph, Mary. Mary actually psychically enters dreams, which is not what a lucid dreamer is.
Well, but she's two things. She's a lucid dreamer, and
also
that
she can do this thing.
Enables her to be lucid when she enters other people's dreams. Yeah.
Lucid dreamers they have the ability to, within the dream, know that they are dreaming.
Yeah, they're just aware of it
and interact with the dream.
Have an element of control of that dream.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, pretty quickly we're shown that there's something more going on with the killings and their connection to the dream world. There's should I even say this part? There's an entity.
I mean, it doesn't matter. How old is this book? We're not spoiling. Yeah, we're not spoiling new shit. Come on.
Look, here's your blanket spoiler alert for every comic book we review today, except for maybe Napalm Lullaby.
Right.
There is an entity in the first dream we see Mary enter, and it becomes kind of clear that maybe that entity is not confined to one person, let's say.
No, it's like out there in the dreamscape. It's like Nightmare.
Yeah. And and again, that tropey kind of feeling kicks back in where you're like, oh, it's the entity that's taking control of these people and doing the killing.
Totally.
So, but I mean, just because you can predict certain elements doesn't mean you know how the plot's going to unfold. There are two other story beats that feel like they'll obviously tie into the killer's identity. One is that there is a patient that was waiting to see Mary, but she was so rattled by the first patient that she blew him off.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That guy's gonna get into some business.
Yeah, that's her Spider-Man moment where, the robber runs by and Uncle Ben gets killed.
Exactly right. Yeah. And then the other is that her mom is in a coma and Mary refuses to enter her dreams because she wants her mom to have peace.
Oh, she has to get in.
It's like,
she's gonna have to.
Well, okay, that's not gonna come back to bite anybody in the ass.
No question. She's gonna have to do it.
Art-wise, I've been a fan of Kieran Dwyer since his run on Captain America in the 80s. Kieran Dwyer drew the issues where John Walker became Captain America. So he is the co-creator, more or less, of the U.S. Agent.
That shocks the hell out of me because, his style, but he's a chameleon. And
he drew in a much more standard comic book line art style back then, though it was still different than other things you would have seen on the stands at the time.
Definitely. This art is crazy. Oh.
It is. He's strong use of digital art techniques. He renders things in full color rather than coloring black and white line art. And what I mean by that is when you look at a picture, it is the shapes are delineated. Like Mary's got an outline, right? But the outline of her body is not black. It matches the skin tone.
Right.
And the outline of the trees is the same brown as the trees or a similar brown, a complementary brown, and so I love that when artists draw their line art with the colors that match the actual underneath layer of
it's
color.
Cool. It makes everything look really soft and vivid and sort of, I don't know, alive, three-dimensional.
I mean, unreal.
Yeah.
When you compare it to other comic books, right? This doesn't look like the way you would expect a comic book to look.
No, it's very dreamy for certain.
And then the color drops out in the real world scenes, but it is still rendered in that, color line style. It's just that everything is like a very, very dark shade of blue or gray.
Yeah.
And then when the nightmares start to creep into real life, like there's blood in the kitchen or there's dead bodies in that room.
It's real
Suddenly
bright.
there are flashes of red.
Yeah.
And fiery red.
Yeah.
I definitely remember when Nightmare number 1 came out. I did not pick it up because at the time I found the cover so off-putting, and I was still a horror baby back then. I was like, "Ooh, that's not for me." No,
God,
thank
you're
you.
such a baby.
Look, I'm different now. I've matured. This is 2005. This is almost 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
I wish Jesus Christ, I
You
said
were
that out
in your
loud.
20s 20 years ago. You realized you were
Yeah,
a
but
baby.
I said that it was 20 years ago out loud, and now I'm really depressed. I wish I'd have read this back then. I would have become a Remender fan much sooner. This is a buy it. It's great.
Huge buy it. And you're going to hear a lot of this episode too, but I got to go read this now. I need to see where this goes.
It's short. It's only like 6 or 8 issues.
Yeah.
It's a short run.
Really effective mystery, really well set up. The art is absolutely insane. It's a huge buy it. I love this.
So, Matt, before we get into your first book, we had a bit of a kerfuffle when we were picking our picks, did we not? Because I said, I swear I did this one already. Because we did Dracula's versus Wolfman's.
Yes.
And this almost made it onto my list, but for some reason I passed.
Well, cool story.
And my loss is your game. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, hey, a little behind the scenes segue for you.
Fair enough. Yeah, we jump from the dream world back to Vampire Pirates with Sea of Red, number 1. From Image, it was 2005, 32 pages. It was $2.95 at the time. Now, sells for about $5. So, I mean, there's some love out there for this one. This is one of those things.
That's an almost 200% gain.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where it's like, I feel like it was shortly after the big boom of The Walking Dead. So comic shops started to pay attention and order this stuff, but none of it really sold at the same level as The Walking Dead. So it's out there. You can find it.
Well, yeah.
You know?
So Walking Dead came out in 2003.
Right.
And the first, I will say at the very least, the first 3 of my books and this one for you all came out in the same year, which means 2005 was the year of Rick.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And he was hot. And so comic shops were ordering this stuff. So it's just, it's not hard to find. Written by Remender, cover and art by Saul Good Sam. You'll hear his real name later. Story and layout by Kieran Dwyer. Oh, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Let us not forget Eddie. Our solicit. 1533, deep in the night, a ship sinks under mysterious circumstances. 23-year-old Marco Esperanza is the only survivor. Left adrift with only a plank of wood to keep him afloat, after days of drifting, he is brought aboard a strange ship, but his salvation turns to nightmare as he learns the ship is the dreaded Black Galleon. The evil mates of the galleon aren't just pirates. They're vampires! And Marco is soon forced to join the damned crew. Not like this damned crew, but like they are damned.
They are the crew of the damned.
2004, Marco Esperanza has spent the past 400 years clinging to life, tied to the bow of a sunken vessel in the dark, briny deep, surviving in the cold, sour blood of fish. Marco awaits his release and a chance for revenge that may never come. Now, no reason to give that date here, because it's not in the book. All we know is he's been underwater for a very long time. And I think it would have been more effective if you don't spoil that. So when they do reveal that it's 2004, you're like, oh, crap. This dude.
Like, you know, the jig is up. Since the jig is up already, like this book ends with him sinking to the bottom.
Right. There's no reason to tell anybody this. You ruined it in the solicit, you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
But hey, we get Remender doing Vampire Pirates. I cannot believe that I did not pick this book up.
Excuse me, Matt. Vampirates.
Pardon me, Vampirates. It shocks me I did not pick this book up back in the day. This had everything young edgelord Matt Baum in the comic shop would have loved and probably tried to force on a lot of people. The story is just mean. It's violent. It's got this very classic EC horror feel to it, where like victimized guy ends up in terrible position only to be further victimized and damned forever. You know?
Yeah. The EC's that's something that'll come up time and again as well.
Oh yeah,
with this.
you can tell he loves his horror tropes, and he loves playing on these old school horror tropes. This whole first issue is told in flashback, and it begins with the main character underwater tied to a masthead. And then just like EC Comics, like, how did I get here? It is a tale of woe and sadness, you know, it's great.
Record player screeches to a halt.
Yeah.
There's a freeze frame.
Exactly.
And then the narrator says, I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation.
Oh, I love it. The art is all black, white, and red, but the reds aren't used, you know, as accents. They're basically used here as like shading and whatnot to show like.
Yeah. But this is doing that same thing I was talking about with Nightmare.
Yes.
Is that it's not black and white, because even the dark line art is not black.
Right.
It's deep, dark red.
Exactly. And I guess when I say black, white, and red, I just mean those are the only colors present.
It's sort of monochrome.
Right.
Sort of.
The figures are real skinny, and they all have this fiendish grin. Like the second he gets on board, you know, this is not a good ship, you know. And there's all these little like touches that they put in there to let you know how evil is. Like he awakes on a bed that has like a demon on the headboard, you know, like
a devil gargoyle
carved into it. Like you don't want to wake up there. That's terrible. I love the weird little evil monkey with the glowing eyes that's always smiling,
the
sitting at the
monkey.
dinner table. It's fantastic. Oh, and man, the scene where we see Esperanza like get bit finally, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, you're like, these guys are bad. These guys are really bad. And then you're like, oh shit, these guys are vampires.
I love his exclamation, right? Like in 2024, the exclamation would be like, oh Jesus, or oh shit. And instead he goes, San Ramon.
Yeah. Back in 2005, I don't think I'd been reading much of Remender's stuff yet. It wasn't until like 2007 when Fear Agent hit, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, that I really started paying attention. Otherwise,
Fear Agent also 2005.
Oh, I thought that started in 2007.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to talk about it in a minute. I jumped on that one late too. I would have grabbed the hell out of this, though. I can't believe I missed it. And I don't know if we ever saw Saul Good Sam, whose real name is Max Douglas again, which is a shame because his art is it's fantastic for this kind of horror style. And the two make this book just look and feel brutal. And Sea of Red is a series, again, I'm going to have to track this down and read all of these. This was great. I'm giving this a buy it.
Yes, I loved this. And in 2005, while young Joe Patrick was still a horror baby, he did still love vampires. So I did pick this up in 2005.
What is wrong with you?
I know. I've always loved like folklore monsters, like vampires, werewolves, that sort of thing. But oh yeah, Sal Good Sam. He drew like one issue of Morbius, the Living Vampire, in 1994.
He was hot for a minute, and then like
I don't even know if hot is the word I'd use, but yeah, he's out there still. You can get his comics on Gumroad. I just was at his website. But anyway,
good for him.
Yeah, I picked this up back in the day. I friggin' loved it, and I didn't stick with it because I was in 2005. I was managing the comic shop, and I was also managing a pull file of unruly size.
Oh yeah, we were both reading probably 30 books a week.
I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up, and some things fell through the cracks. But I love this issue. It holds up still today. It's a huge buy it for me. The art is tremendous. Sal Good Sam is so talented.
He is great. Yeah, I want that dude back on something.
Still love vampires. I still love vampires. Well, Matt just mentioned it a moment ago, and the time is now. It's Fear Agent #1 from Image. It was indeed 2005, though it did switch publishers and also relaunch. So
maybe there
may have been a #1 in 2007 that you picked up.
I'll bet
the very first one, very first one came out in 2005.
I'll bet you I picked up that one.
Obviously, it is by Remender. Pencils are by Tony Moore. Inks are by Sean Parsons. Colors are by Lee Loffridge. Letters are by Russ Wooten. Russ Wooten has been lettering comics for everybody in Robert Kirkman's orbit for about 1,000 years.
He's got to be like an old buddy, I'm sure.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, or, Kirkman has him chained up in the basement. I don't know.
Blackmail, maybe.
Kirkman's a weird dude. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. It's 32 pages, cover price $2.99. Near mint value, $40. Fear Agent #1. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
For a CGC 9.8, $190.
I mean, this is easily Remender's biggest indie hit that he put out.
Biggest indie hit? Gosh, I don't know.
Before Deadly Class, I mean, it's got to be.
I mean, Deadly Class got made into a TV show. So.
Well, sure. I mean, lots of shit gets made into TV shows, Joe. Come on.
But I mean, if we're measuring success, I'm not sure what metric we're using. But yeah, it certainly was a big hit. Here's your solicit. The Fear Agents are no more. Once known throughout the universe for driving 3 invading alien races from Earth, they stood as a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Now, Heath Houston drunkenly scuttles around the galaxy as an alien exterminator, the last of their ranks. Combining the aesthetic elements of all 3 of the genres that made EC Comics the high-water mark of sequential storytelling.
There it is again.
Science fiction, war, and horror, Heath's adventures take readers on monthly jaunts to brave new worlds overrun by jellyfish brains, wild ape men, and rickety robots bent on intergalactic domination. The story opens with a seemingly abandoned space station infested by a terrifying alien presence. I wonder if Heath is going to have to deal with that somewhere down the line.
I don't think it ever comes into play again. I think that's it.
It never comes up again. Yeah,
it's a red herring, if you will.
Yeah,
a MacGuffin.
We jump to the planet Frazturga, which seems like an obvious nod to Frank Frazetta.
Oh, yeah.
And after I had that thought, I Googled Frank Frazetta EC Comics, and I found a cover to, it's like some weird science or weird whatever tales from EC Comics that is basically an identical image to the cover of this comic.
I don't think these
as far as the layout of it.
These dudes weren't hiding it at all. This was an open love letter to EC sci-fi.
But
horror.
Specifically name dropping Frank Frazetta here.
Sure.
Heath Houston, he's been hired to wipe out a pack of primitive caveman-esque creatures. So obviously there's way more going on than meets the eye. Yeah. He's a hard drinking Mark Twain quoting Texan. He's basically like a rockabilly Flash Gordon.
That is the best explanation I've ever heard of this character. He is a rockabilly Flash Gordon, no question. He's fantastic.
Yeah,
good guy, but likes to party a little more than he should, and
too much.
Goes to a dark place sometimes.
Right. Yeah. He's not shy about taking out a higher life form if his own survival's on the line, but as long as no one's around to report him, there's no harm, no foul.
Oh man, he gets shit done. Come on.
Gorgeous, fantastic art from Tony Moore, Parsons, and Loffridge, but you all already knew that. I love the retro futuristic design aesthetic. Give me a ray gun, give me a rocket ship shaped like a pointy missile with wings,
absolutely,
et cetera, et cetera.
This is the Flash Gordon shit we were talking about, right?
Big old bubble helmet. Yeah. He's got a bubble helmet.
60s, Art Deco space design.
I call it kind of the Fallout aesthetic, right? The Fallout, the video game where it's just everything is old looking, but also robots and ray guns. What? I'm also a big fan of what I call the Spaceballs trope, though I'm sure it does go back much earlier than that. And I mean storytelling where there are alien equivalents of mundane Earth jobs and locations like space truckers, roadside diners, and gas stations.
I mean, that's right out of Heavy Metal magazine. There's
I bet it goes back farther than that, though.
Sure. No, but I'm just saying, that's where it really got popular. That's sci-fi. It's sort of it was Alien that really introduced the idea of space trucker, and then people just ran with it.
And also Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they end up at the restaurant at the end of the universe.
Sure.
And there's all sorts of stuff where it's that sort of thing, but there's literally a guy with a trucker hat who drives a space rig with bumper stickers on it.
Right. Somebody you might bump into
on it somehow.
Right. Somebody you might bump into at the truck stop,
yeah, exactly. Otherwise. Yeah. All he wants is his chili, goddammit.
Sure.
Instead he gets eaten. Now, I completely missed the boat on Fear Agent back in the day. And by the time I heard that everyone was raving about it, it was impossible to find. These days, you've got these gorgeous library editions that are out there. There's a collection of trades.
I've got all of them.
I know. Dark Horse and Image did a good job preserving the stories. I always meant to go back and read the full run, and this gave me the kick in the ass I needed. Of all the books we read this week, this is the one that I know for sure I will stick with and read to completion. Because after Tony Moore, it's Jerome Opeña? Are you kidding me?
It just gets better and better. So this is a series that I read and loved back in the day. This was my door to Rick Remender. It's over. I'm following this guy anywhere he goes. And god damn, this book goes to so many wild places. And I think it kind of it was sort of the proto idea for Black Science a little bit, because Black Science is similar in tone, where it's just everything is the worst, most terrifying disaster you can possibly think of, and there's no way they survive this,
it's like, oh, space is cool, except for after you get past the first 5 minutes,
space is
realize
a nightmare.
Every single thing is trying to kill you.
Space is an absolute nightmare. This is a huge buy it. I cannot
buy it for me as well.
This is one of my favorite sci-fi
100%.
comic series of all time. I can't say enough about it.
Like when I always read some comics before bed. It's going to be Fear Agent number 2. I can tell you that right now.
Right on. Here's another one I cannot believe that I missed. Not only missed, I had never heard of this comic until we looked into it. This is
okay. So I also missed it, but I recognized this cover.
I did not. I've never seen this comic. I'd never even heard of it. This is Sorrow number 1 from Image, 2007. It's 32 pages for $2.99. It looks like it sells for about $5, but you can't find this one anywhere. People didn't order it, I don't think.
But scarcity doesn't always translate it to
exactly. That's why it's only $5.
If you can't find one, don't pay too much for it.
Yeah. Written by Rick Remender and Seth Peck, cover by Kieran Dwyer, with art by a young, fresh-faced Francesco Francavilla, only 1 year into his comic career. Letters.
Kieran Dwyer again, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And letters by Ed Dukeshire, huh?
Love that guy.
Here is your solicit. In 1952, the U.S. government's nuclear testing killed all of the good people of Sorrow, Nevada. I mean, it already had the name, so why not, right? Today, the sign in front of the town reads, population 0. The locals, however, will tell you a very different story. When a car accident strands 4 young travelers in this desolate ghost town, they soon find that not all that is buried is dead. A modern take on the classic ghost story, Sorrow mingles the psychological terror of The Exorcist with the eerie dread of David Lynch's Twin Peaks to inspire fear in the most hardened of horror fans. That is an excellent solicit and lays this out pretty well.
And also, it doesn't really spoil a ton of stuff.
No, not at all. Nice job. And this comic, it has a very quick build to get to the weirdness. But again, there's the trope of the 4 kids in the car out on the back road just doing their thing when what is horror? This? Yeah, right? It's got a very Twilight Zone feel where everything seems really familiar. And then one thing happens and you go, something is very different now. And I'm not sure what it is, but these kids are going to find out and it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
There's really good visual clues as to what's going on. There's some dialogue clues too. They meet this character and she's like, my name's Natalie, like Natalie Wood. Only this is the year 2007. And someone that age probably wouldn't throw out Natalie Wood's name.
What other Natalie are they going to pick?
She's kind of an old timey actress that there's no reason she might even know exists, to be perfectly honest. And the cop that's in this story also seems like he's here to kind of throw the reader off the trail of what's actually going on. Francavilla, man, his art fully formed. It's just here. This is his style.
Looks exactly the same.
Yeah. He's just always been this good, I guess. It's crazy.
If anything, he got better at the mechanics of it, storytelling.
I'll give you that.
But his art, his rendering, is exactly the same, and it's just as good as it is today.
Oh, yeah. And the little things that he does in this story, the creepy imagery that lets you know there is something else going on here. Like the creepy little kid, there's a fly on the cop's face that does a thing that makes you go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's like a centipede thing.
Yeah, like
even little stuff like they pass a smashed mile marker or whatever sign, and there's like a rattlesnake on it, and it's like
but like no spoilers. I think these kids are dead. And I think everyone in this town is dead.
I think everyone in this town is a ghost.
Yeah, and I think they are too, and they don't know it. I am still freaking shocked. I never heard of this short-lived series. Again, I have to track these down to see where it goes because they do just enough to make you go, all right, now I got to see. You know, now I have to see where it's happening here. It's only like 8 issues again, too. So quick read. Run. Knowing Remender's style, like we keep saying, how he keeps messing with the reader, there's going to be a big and really weird twist here. I got to see what it is. I'm giving this a buy it.
Yeah, man, it's a buy it for me as well. I mean, yeah, these kids are definitely dead. One of them got thrown through the windshield of the car.
No question. But then immediately he's like, oh my God, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah. and they're like, oh, good. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, everybody's dead here.
I think
sure.
So, yeah.
But now the trick is, well, what happens next? Now that even if we're even sort of right, what happens next when these kids figure out that they're dead?
Well, and even after you were like, oh, they're dead, then things start to happen and you go, well, wait a minute. Maybe not all of them are dead. Well, maybe they are dead. Well, I'm not sure.
Well, you're right. If some of them are dead and some of them aren't, how come they're all talking to one
another?
What's happening? Yeah, it's like, this creepy motherfucker in the rocking chair, the little boy.
Oh, yeah.
He is fucking disturbing. He is gross, dude.
Love him.
This is a buy it. Yeah, this was fun. I had never read this. I mean, you and I were both at Krypton when this came out, so I definitely remember seeing the cover.
Man.
But I don't think I picked it up.
I guess I just missed it, but man, fun to see a young Francavilla at work.
Everywhere we look, Scoob, giggling green ghosts.
Well, if you were mad that the last solicit didn't spoil everything for the entire run of comics, I've got great news. Next up is Strange Girl #1. This is also from Image. This is from 2005, the year of Rick. Written by Remender, with art by Eric Nguyen, colors by Joel Comtois.
I bet it's Comtois.
Letters by Ed Motherfudgin Dukeshire.
Rick Remender don't work with no one else. He's a Dukeshire man, all right?
Except for when he does work with other people.
He's a Dukeshire man, first and foremost.
Letters are, pardon me. It's 32 pages for $2.95. Value of this is $3.50. So, it went up 50 cents.
Hey.
Here's your solicit. Strange Girl mixes the aesthetic elements of Preacher, Tank Girl, and Hellboy with the desperate pace of the Road Warrior. 10 years after the Rapture, the Earth is unprotected by God, and the demonic citizens of Hell have flooded our world, enslaving the remaining human population. After saving the life of a runt demon named Bloto, bartender, occultist, and all-around arse kicker Bethany Black discovers that God is soon returning to wipe the earth clean of everything unholy. With the end of the world coming, Bethany and Bloto set out to find the last doorway left into heaven and plead for admission. Nothing in the last paragraph happens in this comic.
No, it sounds like that might be the whole series. I don't know. This could be like the graphic novel solicit, possibly.
First half, at least. I do remember that Strange Girl had a bit of a following among the weirder contingent of our friend group. You know who you are. But now that I've read the first issue, I don't get the appeal at all.
This comic was hot. I remember people dug it. Like they were.
Yes, I also remember that people were very into it.
Yeah.
And they were all weirdos. What the solicit doesn't mention is that this issue ends right after the flash forward, and we don't learn anything about what happened to Bethany in the 10 years previous. Why does she know magic? How did she become the only human bartender at a demon bar? I'm sure those plot points were filled in over time, or at least I'm giving Remender the benefit of the doubt that he filled in that backstory. The main problem is that we're not really given any time or reason at all to learn to care about Bethany. She was a complete shithead as a kid, which is why she got left behind, and that doesn't seem to have changed in the decades since. She's still kind of an asshole. It's hard to blame her, Her parents were borderline abusively religious. I grew up in the church. I've known my share of fundamentalists. Their behavior towards her is comically evil.
Well, yeah. I mean, but the evil characters are comically evil too.
I mean, I get it, but I mean, they're like super duper duper evil.
Everything is comically evil in this.
But then they got sucked up into heaven. So,
well, sure.
This leads me to my other big issue, which is that Remender builds this premise on a skewed interpretation of Christian doctrine. Now, I'm not an expert, nor was I offended. I'm not religious anymore. I'm not being precious about it or anything, but he's basing the entire plot of the series around an almost like childish misinterpretation or misrepresentation of biblical themes.
I mean, don't you think
whatever.
That's kind of the point though? Like, it's like, oh shit, my crazy parents who had what I thought was this ridiculous misinterpretation of the Bible and the rapture and everything, they were right, like, and like even the demons and the devils are like totally stupid too, I mean, like, I think that's the point.
So, all right. Well, let me complete that thought and then
sure.
He goes on and on in the back matter about philosophy and how good and evil are abstract man-made concepts. I get it. Like, that is not false, but like, did you bother to check in with a theologian?
I don't think
while you were writing this comic.
I don't think that's the point.
And I get it. And your mileage may vary, but for me, I was like, but it's like he's in the back matter, like making fun of this thing that he doesn't fully understand or is purposely being misleading about. And for me, that was like, well, then your premise is flawed, Again, your mileage may vary. It's not that I found it offensive. It's that I just like, no, I don't think that's how it works.
I think it's just meant to be absurdist. I think that's where he's going with it.
Perhaps.
This is an absurdist take on modern religion, or modern Christianity, if you will.
I get it. And some people are a fan of that. And some people aren't.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I was not a fan of Eric Nguyen's art here. The Jamie Hewlett influence is like blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
But it didn't work for me. It didn't really work for me. It's like really oddly distorted human figures. The demon design seemed kind of uninspired. It was just like guy with horns.
Yeah.
A different guy with slightly different horns.
And this one's
fat.
And this is like a cartoonish take for sure. I agree. Jamie Hewlett inspired. Eric Nguyen just is no Jamie Hewlett. Jamie Hewlett's really good. But everything about this felt kind of rushed to me. I mean,
I don't know if rushed is the right word, because this book actually did go on for a lengthy run. There is a Strange Girl omnibus.
Oh, I'm not saying it isn't.
There's enough books to fill an omnibus.
When I say rushed, I mean almost feel like the creative process was like, just get it out. The idea is we're just going to get it out, and it's going to be off the cuff, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be absurd, and it's going to be crazy, and it like looks that way too. Kind of like,
yeah, that could be. The phrase "they can't all be winners" certainly holds true with Strange Girl #1. I kind of hated everything about it, from the art to what I consider to be like mean-spirited dime store theology. I'm giving this a leave it, but that is a person, like, I fully understand that there are people that might like it or might be a little bit less harsh on it than I am. I'm curious to hear what you think, what your rating is, because it sounds like you're being more generous to it than I was.
I'm giving it a skim it because I think there's some fun ideas here, and it is just sort of an absurdist takedown. And I don't think it's meant to be anything else because it is so absurd. And I don't love the art. The art is the one thing, like, with a better artist, I may have wanted to read more of this, but I don't care for this art. It looks sloppy. It looks sloppy to me. And
I think Jerome Opeña worked on this series too.
He may have later on. Yeah. But this didn't do it for me, but I'm going to give it a skim it because I don't think the idea is terrible. I kind of think it's like hell takes over and everybody's kind of like, it sucks, but is it much worse than where we were?
There are bits and pieces of the idea that I'm like, okay, I see you working. But I mean, if you're going to do like a takedown of an idea, right? If you're going to challenge an idea in an absurd and comical way, like you suggest, you should probably be accurate in what you're skewering.
I don't
That's
necessarily.
kind of where I took issue.
I don't necessarily think so. And I mean, like, look, all the beats are here. There's a devil, there's God, there's a rapture. If you don't pray to God,
Okay, and
you go to
again,
hell.
you also have a almost childlike understanding of the Bible.
But what I'm saying, I understand the Bible. I'm saying this isn't about the Bible. This is about
No, I
that
know.
childlike
But it is
misunderstanding that
It is
people,
about specifically Christian mythology,
right?
like the rapture.
People like her parents obviously have. It's about that misconception of it, I think. So
Yeah.
I don't think it was really well executed either. But I don't think it was a complete failure.
It didn't do it for me.
It's a
Didn't
skin
do
it for me.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you hot stuff, hot stuff, hot stuff. A little devil, that's hot stuff, hot stuff. A little rebel, who's so tough.
Let's get to something we're really going to argue over. Booster Gold, Volume 2, number 13. This is from DC 2008. It's 32 pages. Again, sells for cover price. Booster doesn't have a whole lot of, even like old school Booster, doesn't have a whole lot of highly collectible stuff. God bless him.
Well, I mean, 2000, what year?
2008?
This book is not hard to find. So,
Of course not.
yeah,
I mean,
it is.
but it's also Booster Gold, dude. I think its first appearance
I mean,
might be
if
worth
it
a
was
little
hot
something.
and scarce, we'd be having a different conversation. Right.
Right.
It's neither.
Maybe if it wasn't Booster.
Hey, you shut up.
Written by Rick Remender, cover by Chris Batista, art by Pat Olaf, inks by Jerry Ordway, who definitely makes his presence felt, colors by Hi-Fi, and letters by Sal Cipriano. Here is your solicit. When Booster Gold's ancestor mistakenly captures a strange-looking starfish for his would-be girlfriend, like, dude, you live in the DC universe. Come on, man. All hell breaks loose. After being possessed by Starro the Conqueror, a Time Master travels through history, spreading body-snatching clones in order to take over Earth one era at a time. Can Booster save humanity from an invading alien force? This is Rick Remender doing a very clever look at how powerful a character like Rip Hunter probably should be. Like, he's a time, he's a time master. It's like, if he is not responsible, Rip can ruin everything. And he kind of uses Starro as that plot device to show you, here's what Rip could do.
Well, yeah, like they even talk about it in the comic. Rip, the Booster Gold series, this volume with Rip Hunter and Booster, talks about how there are so many moments in time that are fixed. Like,
Right.
and we talked about this the last time we reviewed Booster Gold. Like, so the shooting of Barbara Gordon.
Sure.
Like, there are some things you can't change, and his sister brings it up. She's like, "What the hell, man? I thought that the past is the past." And Booster's like, "Yeah, but this is Rip.
I'm assuming Booster has learned.
This is Rip Hunter, and he's got some skills."
I'm assuming something happened to Booster recently where he learned that lesson the hard way, because Booster's always been kind of a fast and loose time traveler guy too. Like, he got in trouble for that. That was his whole story.
10 issues prior is the issue we reviewed some time ago where he tries and tries and tries and tries
to stop Blue Beetle from getting killed.
In another issue, he tries to stop Barbara Gordon from getting shot and learns that he can't.
Right.
Then he tries to stop Blue Beetle from getting killed, and then things go bad there as well. But yeah, so at this point in the series, Booster knows it's like there's some things you just can't change.
Right. And Rip, at this point, Rip is kind of his conscience and teacher, and is basically like, look,
mentor, yeah.
You're a time traveler. I'm a time master. Do what I say. And Remender, taking Rip out of that equation, leaves Booster in this super desperate place.
Yeah.
Where him and his sister are like, oh my God, Starro just rewrote time and took over everything. And all they can do is like desperately jump around trying to fix it. And it's great. It's a fun take on what would probably really happen to a character like Booster Gold, as opposed to like, oh, he's funny and he traveled in time and made a sports bet and got in trouble. Whatever.
Sure.
I love this take. I didn't realize Gold Star was his sister. Joe told me about that when we were.
Yeah, Gold Star is his sister, Michelle. She was around in Volume 1 in the 80s. She died.
Yeah.
But at some point during this run, I believe they're able to. Obviously, they bring her back. But
fair enough. I mean, time travel. I'm sure you could go get
Yeah,
it.
you know, not every moment's a fixed point.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Then not all of them sell as well as The Killing Joke. So you know how it goes.
Right.
I've always kind of loved Starro stories, as stupid as Starro is. And Starro's dumb. Don't get me wrong. It's a giant alien starfish. But the idea behind like Starro like just wants to come save you by removing individuality. And when we do that,
free will's a curse.
there's no crime. There is no sickness. There is no war. Like there is only Starro.
I think like Starro is dumb, but fun dumb in a
Yes.
fun way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't laugh as hard at anything else this entire week as I did when I saw Chemo with a Starro on his face.
Chemo. But yeah.
What? He's not even a robot.
No, it doesn't matter.
He's just a vat of chemicals.
Doesn't matter. He's Starro now. So doesn't matter. It was
It's
great.
so funny. It's so great.
And that's like the other thing Remender does really well here is he maintains like that snarky humor that you expect from Booster while still telling an extremely high stakes story, you know?
Yeah.
And that's another, it's one of those things he's just so good at. There's the art here is great, but I do think Ordway kind of like when Ordway inks, it's hard not to look at art and be like, is that Jerry Ordway?
Ordway is an artist. Ordway, like Bill Sienkiewicz and Klaus Janson, is an artist that when they ink, they consume
Right. Like
the pencil artist.
there is no Patrick Olaf. There is only Ordway. Right?
Yeah, right. And it's not that like Patrick Olaf is a very good artist. If you're not familiar with his work,
I'm not at all.
He drew Untold Tales of Spider-Man, that 90s book by Kurt Busiek.
Do you think I read that? Come on.
I'm not kidding. It is the best Spider-Man comic book of the 90s.
Get out of here. I'm going to
Not kidding. I'm not kidding.
We might have to Slack issues that and you'll have to prove it to me. I've never read it. So,
Dude, it really is.
okay. I like it. Slack issues.
he
Put it on the
did,
board. We're doing that one.
He also did Spider-Girl. He drew Spider-Girl for like almost the entire
Definitely
run, I
did
think, or
not
for a
read
huge
that.
chunk of the run.
Definitely didn't read that.
But he's very good, is my point.
Okay.
But under Ordway's inks, it's like, it's mostly Ordway
Fair enough.
with a little bit of Olaf.
Before we decided to do a journey into Rick Remender, I wasn't even aware he'd ever written for DC. I had no idea. And honestly,
Tiny little runs.
yeah, honestly, after reading his Booster, a character that you know that I am lukewarm on at best, I would love to see Remender write more DC characters. This was great. I really enjoyed it.
He also did a brief run on All New Adam.
Yeah, which I didn't
Which
read.
was the series that starred Ryan Choi, Ray Palmer's successor. And I was going to do his first issue. It's fine. It's not as good as this. It's not but it's not bad. It's certainly not bad at
Fair. I'm giving this a buy it. And that, like, I don't do that for Booster very often.
all. Patrick Olaf drew that comic too, by the way.
Of course. There we go.
All New Adam number, whatever it was, 21, 18. I don't remember. This is a buy it from me. I love Booster Gold. I'm not lukewarm on Booster Gold. I'm a huge fan of this entire run because as much as I like the, Bwahaha, JLI, Keith Giffen, JMD Mateus Booster, Blue Beetle Booster Gold. I also like it when Booster Gold is allowed to be a competent hero, even though he's still kind of a fuck up.
He's a doofus. He's not a fuck up. He's a doofus.
Well, he's not really good at it, is the thing.
But
he's good at it.
A fuck up is ruining everything and mess it. Like, he's a doofus.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. He gets it, like, eventually he gets good at it, but most of the time earlier on, and even earlier on in this run, he gets it right on accident.
Right.
Until, like, he finally, like, Rip's lessons finally kick in or sink in, and he's like, oh, okay, I get it now. The vast and crushing, all-encompassing responsibility of not going back in time and enslaving Abraham Lincoln with a Star Conqueror. It's like, okay, sure. This is a buy it from me. I love it. I love it. My final stop on the Rick Remender tour is Uncanny X-Force #1 from Marvel. The year was 2010. It is written by Rick Remender. I just said that. The art here is by Jerome Pena. Thank you, Pages, for auto-correcting that to Jerome Opera. Colors are by Dean White. Letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. 2010, VC.
Yeah.
Already in the game.
This gang's got legs, man. They've been around for a long time. So
The cover of this one's by Assad Ribic. It's 32 pages for $3.99. Near mint value, $12. Not bad. CGC 9.8, $85. Still affordable.
I thought
not exactly.
I thought it'd be
not
more.
exactly a key issue, but no slouch either.
I thought it would be more.
Here's your solicit. Wolverine promised Cyclops that X-Force would disband. He lied. A secret society has resurrected En-Sabah Nur, putting into motion events that will turn this age of heroes into an age of apocalypse. To hold them back, Wolverine and Archangel bring together Phantom X, Deadpool, and Psylocke to form the Uncanny X-Force. Stained by their history, they are the only ones capable of making the hard resolutions necessary. A band of like-minded friends and mercenaries set to one purpose. One big, ugly task. Kill Apocalypse by any means. Now that is a solicit.
Yeah, and it's like,
'Cause-
it's the kind of X-Force Murder Squad where I get it because it's apocalypse.
They have a specific mission.
Yeah.
But also it doesn't spoil anything for you.
No.
It gets its hooks in you and it makes you want to read it.
Yes.
So Matt and I, as we often do, we were discussing this book before we recorded while we were prepping for the show. I had completely forgotten the events that led up to it. The idea of X-Force as this mutant murder squad actually started a few years earlier. It spun out of the Messiah Complex crossover, and it was, well, I'm not sure who's credited for creating the idea. Probably editorial, if I'm being honest.
I'm sure.
But the first ongoing launched in 2008, and it was written by Craig Kyle and Christopher Yost, who did a lot of great comics work for Marvel, but they started as animation writers. They did Wolverine and the X-Men was the cartoon at the time, which I've heard nothing but good things about. And that is where, for the first time ever, X-23 appeared.
Oh, neat.
So they created X-23.
But instead, we're bringing X-Men 97 back. All right.
I mean, there's not the same kind of nostalgic feeling for
Yeah,
Wolverine
no,
and the
I mean, I
X-Men.
get it. One was good, one was garbage. Anyway.
The art on that one was by Clayton Crane, so it was like super crazy. Like,
Yeah.
everything looks wet, CGI looking,
Yeah.
computer generated.
Clayton Crane, who should only be doing Carnage, probably.
Yeah, I mean, great artist.
Fantastic
But boy,
artist.
does it like
Born
it makes you
to
kinda-
draw Carnage. Like, I'd say he's too much for Venom, even, you know?
It gives you the ick after a while.
Yeah.
The series ended in 2010 after 28 issues. That's a pretty long run for a book that I completely forgot about. It wrapped up the Second Coming crossover, which was kind of it's part of the trilogy, right? There was Messiah Complex, Messiah War, and Second Coming, and that's the crossover that also gave us Hope Summers. You're welcome.
Bleh.
And the book was relaunched as Uncanny X-Force later that same year. So there's your little history of the murder squad that is Uncanny X-Force. Remender very wisely, I think, throws Phantom X and Deadpool into the mix because they needed some levity in this book. And they deliver. Those characters deliver. Because previously, the X-Force book was very dark
Yeah.
and very dour.
Yeah. And I would argue, like, outside of Grant Morrison and Rick Remender, I don't know if anyone else needs to write Phantom X. Because
I mean, I can't really think of any great Phantom X stories I've read that aren't by those
do
two.
not care about that character when anyone else is writing.
I mean,
it.
Hickman. I'll put Hickman in there. He's probably done some good stuff with Phantom X.
Phantom Hickman did? I don't remember it if he did.
I mean, I can't.
He wasn't on Krakoa,
I don't remember it
as
either,
I
but
recall.
I'm just-
I think they let Phantom X go.
No, he's involved because
Was he?
yeah, anyway,
All
it
right.
doesn't matter. None of this matters. This issue does have some moments that are like legitimately funny. Deadpool is making terrible dad jokes and he belts out Miami Sound Machine songs while he's being tortured, which that made me laugh.
That's great.
I really liked Remender's characterizations here. Archangel and Psylocke, they live as a couple, but they're bonded by trauma. And Betsy is there to stop Warren if his Archangel brainwashing side takes over. And so it's this really like broken relationship, but they have really like they're stuck with each other.
This Archangel thing where it was like a werewolf almost, where like if Archangel comes out, bad news, you know, like.
Well, and it's like, so let me rephrase. It's not like Warren can transform into Archangel on command, but if the Horseman of Death asserts itself, that's when you're in trouble.
Well, and before
that's what
this,
Betsy's there to stop.
Yes, but before this, he couldn't control it. It was just, it would happen. And Betsy's helping him bury it so he can control it more and bring it out when need be. But when it comes out, it's still not good news.
Yeah.
Like Archangel is gnarly. Archangel is this, you know, he was death. He was death that created by Apocalypse, and he's just bad news.
I think at this point though, like he can switch back and forth between like wings and metal wings. Like that was kind of the deal. Cause if you remember, he gets,
that's what Betsy's helping him do.
He gets mind wiped later on, and he's got like this childlike amnesia, and he's in Wolverine and the X-Men. And it's like long haired Warren Worthington with wings and zero personality, just like a happy puppy running around in short pants, like a British schoolboy.
Yeah.
Which is also very fun. There is a now infamous twist at the end of this issue, which leads to some really hard choices for the end of the arc.
God, it's good.
Spoiler alert.
So good.
They make the choice.
It's so good, too.
They do the thing.
And they spend a whole issue like talking through it, though. They don't just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely stunning art from Opeña. He's got a brilliant sense of layout, of design, of body language. There's this great moment early on that I missed when I first read the issue in 2010. Warren Worthington III, aka Archangel, is looking at a computer monitor. And then the next panel is identical, except that Warren is furrowing his brow just slightly, which is just a visual cue that he's seeing something that concerns him, and you know it before you've even read a word of the dialogue.
Yeah.
It's such a great artistic storytelling moment. Opeña's depictions of each of the characters is spot on as well. Like Wolverine's this squat little ball of rage. Archangel is thin and wiry, like you would expect a guy that's a flyer to be. Like flyers aren't supposed to be big bulky. Like his whole deal is to be lighter than air.
I also love
he looks like it.
His Archangel is deadpan at all times.
He's
like
also kind of gaunt.
Feels nothing. It's terrifying.
Right. Emotionless. Yes.
Yeah.
But like still very intimidating, even though he's this like wiry little dude with a diver's physique, basically.
He's deaf.
Phantom X always looks cool as a cucumber. I love Opeña's Phantom X. I especially loved his take on the Horsemen of Apocalypse. In this run, they are dubbed the Final Horsemen or the Last Horsemen. And they're this team of replacement horsemen. You know, we've seen him have horsemen in the past. Wolverine's been one. There were the ones from the 80s that wore like super villain outfits. And these are like, this is the squad that gets called as a last resort if every other plan has failed.
Yeah.
And if they show up, it's bad.
They're doing the worst thing in the world. They're the
end of the world bad.
This is the X-Men Suicide Squad.
Yeah. And they don't look like anything like any other horseman we've seen. There's like a Minotaur looking kind of rage monster. There's a torpy Civil War era battlefield drummer. We only meet those two in this issue, but the other one, like there's one that's just like a Japanese, like a geisha kind of gal from ancient Japan.
They're plucked from time.
And they're not just beefy dudes, like I said, in supervillain costumes. And that somehow that makes them kind of scarier. By the time Uncanny X-Force came out, Remender was a prominent creative force in the comics industry. Everybody knew his name. His tenure at Marvel is full of great runs, and this is definitely one of them. Huge buy it. Uncanny X-Force is outstanding.
Yeah. Remender just understood the job and was probably the perfect guy to do it. There's one panel where they're all like jumping into action, and they're wearing, even the characters are all wearing very drab colors. They are not wearing like their bright costumes or anything.
They're wearing X-Force colors, black and gray.
And the narration he has, it just says, no jovial sense of adventure, no camaraderie to overcome the tension. This is not the X-Men. Like, yes.
That's such a great
yes,
line.
Rick Remender. Like,
That is a great line.
He gets it. Now, with that said, this might be the last time I enjoyed X-Force. I would argue like this book was excellent. It was.
This run does go for a while.
No, I'm not saying the whole run. Excellent. I love it. But they kept going with this thing that I would argue only Rick Remender did really well. And we probably didn't need it the whole time. And it led to a bunch of shit that like today we're like, ugh, why Beast? Ugh,
Yeah.
stop, you know? Like,
And I'll be the first to admit that like I've liked a lot of Ben Percy's X-Force run, but
I have
I also hate what it's doing to some of my favorite
Yes, and that's the thing. And I think Rick Remender was like the kind of writer that could handle this so well and still interject a little, like you said, Phantom X and Deadpool, perfect additions for this to just lighten the load a little bit, even though the load is so heavy. This is a perfect buy it. This is an excellent run of X-Men comics, no pun intended. Yeah. This is easily the best X-Force story that there is, start to finish in this run. It doesn't get better than this, period.
Fun fact, this issue came out 1 month before Matt and I launched the podcast, or else we probably would have covered it in the first episode.
Good Lord, we've been doing this too long.
It came out in 2010.
Payback time.
Our romp through Rick Remender's life ends with today. Not because he died, but because Napalm Lullaby #1 came out today, huh?
Because he died. I'm sorry to be the ones to tell you this. He
got so upset with our Strange Girl review, he threw himself in front of a bus. This is Napalm Lullaby #1 from Image. It's 48 pages for $4.99. Written by, you guessed it, Rick Remender. Main cover and art by Bengal. There are 8 variants, one of which by a name I've not seen in a while, J.G. Jones. Where's that been?
Matt, I will tell you this in all honesty. I am being 100% sincere. I thought J.G. Jones died.
I haven't seen that name forever.
I thought that he was dead.
I don't know. Letters by Russ Wooten. So, sorry, Ed Dukeshire, but your time has come and gone.
I mean, Russ Wooten is also, he's the guy. He was around for that other book I read.
Sure. He's the one that's tied up in Kirkman's basement. Here's your solicit. Series premiere. Thanks. The best-selling creative duo of Rick Remender and Bengal reteam for Napalm Lullaby. You will notice when we were reading all other solicits, we weren't screaming because this all caps bullshit only started probably in like the last 5 or 10 years. I don't know why.
Recent, recent years, yeah.
An all-new ongoing dystopian epic with special double-length first issue. A child with unimaginable power is raised to believe he is a god by a cult of zealots, utterly confident in the moral authority of their religion. The magnificent leader has imposed his will on humanity and created the ultimate theocracy. Join them or be cast out to suffer with the masses. This story starts in modern day Norfolk, Nebraska. Now, I don't know, like I haven't been in Norfolk for a while, but I had no bones to pick. I was like, oh, that could be Norfolk. Sure. It's a sort of a weird, what if religious zealots found super baby kind of story.
Yeah. What if the Kents were cultists?
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. It leads you to believe it's going to be one thing. And in true Rick Remender fashion, it jumps 50 years into the future where things are bleak. And then there's another twist where we finally meet the main characters. And then there's another twist where we thought maybe those weren't the main characters. It's Rick Remender.
There's a lot going on.
Yes. And it's Rick Remender messing with the reader. And I gotta say, it was fun. A lot of fun. The art here by Bengal. Oh my God, this dude just keeps getting better. There's some
it's really great.
It's so good. There's some fantastic mecha design on some characters. Yes. And just like just like Remender keeps throwing all these story elements at you, the first you can think, you go, oh, okay, I guess we're going with like weird robot stuff. Nope, don't worry about it. Now it's this kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, I guess we're going with like this bleak sort of, like Road Warrior kind of looking. Nope, now it's this kind of design. It keeps changing, and it's so interesting, but it's like also not as flashy as what I was used to with a guy like Bengal. But I think
that's just because we spend a lot of time in like this kind of futuristic slum.
Well, sure,
where it's like structures are built out of debris. It's not really a flashy location.
But there's things that happen where he does change his style and kicks on the Flash, and and as you read it, you will start to pick up cues again where you're going to go, okay, I think when things look like this, they might not be what I think they are. It's really clever. The last time these two creators teamed was for an amazing book called Death or Glory. I'm thrilled to have them back together again. Napalm Lullaby.
I forgot about that book.
It's a great book. Napalm Lullaby is a mind-bending take on rebellion on both a psychological and physical level that looks like there is no way we're going to be able to guess what happens next. I am on board for this. I loved everything about it. I loved the design. I loved the glowing temples amongst the shanty towns, the insane look of like the fighting game characters in this almost. It was just crazy.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah. Like I'm looking at it and this guy running after the characters on the cover. I won't say the main characters because obviously they keep changing who's the action's focused on, but it's the two on the cover. And there's this guy, and he looks like a cross between Zenyatta from Overwatch and Dhalsim from Street Fighter.
Totally. 2. Yeah. I mean, we know what Bengal's into. It's pretty obvious, and I dig it. This is just a massive buy it. What a great first issue.
Yeah, it's a good issue. Again, we said this earlier. I wish that we did not know so much about the story just because of the solicit. I'm not saying it spoils everything.
I don't know that it spoils anything after reading this.
I think it does, because reading the issue, nothing is like explicitly stated. Like we know the cultists found Super Baby.
Sure.
And we know now this world is a theocratic dictatorship, and everybody thinks this like Glowcore or whatever is real. But that's all we know, and we don't really see how the world works. And so I think the solicit maybe could have held back just a little, but that's a minor complaint. It is a super fun book. I love a story that is a weird twist. Like, as much as I love Superman, I'm a Superman traditionalist, but I love a story that's like, what if Superman landed on Apocalypse, or what if the Kents were cultists, or
Sure.
I love that sort of shit. Elseworlds kind of stuff.
Great.
This is very fun. It's a buy it. The art is good.
God, yeah. God,
I was just looking at it again while you were talking.
That dude is just slick.
Now that we have fulfilled our CLB duties, before we are returned to our proper time, we each need to pick which one of these comics enters the THN Permanent Collection and answer the question based on what we read. Do we still think Rick never misses?
I'm going to pick Uncanny X-Force #1 because
yes, me too.
The run is just perfect and the art is just amazing. Now, it is neck and neck with Fear Agent #1, because Fear Agent #1 was a book that I had never read a sci-fi comic book like that when I picked it up as a kid, and it was just like, what the hell?
This is why I picked X-Force over Fear Agent. Fear Agent, I think, is a book that reads better and gets better the more you read of it. I think issue 1, as good as it is still very kind of surface level. It's
sure.
like,
it doesn't have the hook that
space,
X-Force
drunk,
has.
fights, monsters, the end.
Right.
But there's much, much more to the series than that, but you don't get that in this issue. X-Force, however, is like a perfect number one to me.
Yeah, it really is. As far as Remender Never Missing, I'm going to stick with it. I'm still like, anytime I see this guy's name, I'm picking it up. And I've never been like, I've never seen a failure on his point.
But that's not the question, though. You know?
Yeah, the
like,
question-
I'm always going to read a Rick Remender book. I'm always going to try a Rick Remender book.
I don't think he ever misses. I think, like, look, not all of them are as great as the
a
others.
miss. Sorry, bro.
It wasn't for me.
Rick Remender
I
missed.
thought it was a
sometimes.
fairly good idea, and it stuck around, and people bought it, and they liked it. I mean, like, is it my cup of meat? No, not necessarily, but I didn't think it was a total failure.
All right, well, here. How about this then? Rick Remender shot the strange girl crossbow bolt twice. Once at you, and you got winged, and once at me, and I ducked like a ninja.
I don't know that that metaphor works at all.
I think it does. I think that is a perfect
I don't
metaphor.
think it does, and I think the CLB is about to like blast you into time eternal.
Send me home. Too much time in the time stream is not good for a guy.
Joey, now that we're done kissing Mr. Remender's butt, let's powder our lips in the THN Sanctum Sanctorum and make our must-read picks for next week. Let's take a look of what to expect next Wednesday, March 13th. It turns out the rumors of Valiant Comics' demise swept the net when we announced Bloodshot Unleashed was coming out on the 6th, and it didn't show up. Rest assured, Valiant is okay. It will show up next Wednesday. Maybe. Ram V drops a new all-ages sci-fi series at Dark Horse with Dawn Runner #1. So, if you are confused about what's going on in Detective Comics, good news, your kids can be confused now too. DC...
Well, it's also drawn by the guy that does those covers, so it's an all ages comic to give nightmares to all ages.
it's gorgeous. That dude's so good.
It does look so
Yeah.
good. Evan Cagle, very, very talented.
DC returns their massive hit that was the JL Ape Annuals event in their DC April special one shot. You get it, Joe?
It's March, you guys.
Roll.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck off. And it wouldn't be New Comic Day without the long-awaited return of the Biker Mice from Mars, the Sectars, the Great Garloo, Roboforce, and the Power Lords, all in one
Garloo?
interconnected universe in the pages of Nacelverse #0 at OE.
Nacelle, like from Star Trek.
Yes.
The Port Nacelle.
You asked for it, Joey, as our resident.
I don't know what the fuck the Great Garloo is, dude. I've heard of it. I've at least heard of all the rest of these.
Don't
but
look
what is
at
the
me.
Great Garloo?
I don't know. What do you want? Okay. As our resident Biker Mice from Mars superfan, I think I know your must-read pick for next week, Joe.
You know what, Matt? Based on your characterization of me, I'd have to say you are spot on. My pick for next week is World's Finest 25. This is from DC Comics. It's written by Mark Waid and Various, with art by Dan Mora and Various. It's 40 story pages for $4.99. I'm not sure why I phrased it that way.
I don't either. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, you want to let us know it's not pinups, I guess. So,
I mean, maybe I copy and pasted. Join Batman and Superman as the World's Finest team celebrates 25 issues of World's Finest. This oversized special issue takes our heroes around the DCU and beyond, with a special lead story that will at last showcase the first meeting between the Joker and Lex Luthor. The world's finest villains form an unholy alliance and will send chills down the spines of the DCU heroes forevermore. Plus, spinning out of the events of the world's finest annual, Doom Might strikes and points the way to the next world's finest epic. I'm going to be honest. If Lex Luthor is as smart as he says, he should have known that he probably should have drowned Joker in the bathtub while he had him.
yeah, he does give that dude a lot of chances, doesn't he? You know, it seems like
Yo, Lex. I mean, read this. Read the room, guy.
right. Like I get why Harley dated him for a while. She's crazy, but Lex.
Yeah.
Well, Joe.
Here we go. Celebrating 2 years of World's Finest. That's momentous. I love
fun.
an anniversary issue.
Yeah. I mean,
And a milestone, as we call it, and this is a milestone.
picking Superman over the Biker Mice from Mars. It's like, I don't know you at all. So I don't know. Sometimes you wake up next to a stranger, I guess. My pick for next week, Man's Best, #1 from Boom. It's written by Pornsak Pitchett with art by Jesse Lonergan. 48 pages for $4.99. Here is your solicit. Homeward bound on an alien world, Man's Best follows 3 emotional support pets living in the Starship Horizon, a spacecraft searching for a new home to house humanity compromised by bad decisions and corporate greed. But after the ship crashes and the crew is captured, these loyal pets are their owner's only hope. Outfitted in outrageous tech, these 3 best friends must traverse a hostile world to rescue their owners, leaving them the only hope for humanity that might not be worth saving. In a harrowing adventure, the pets are faced with challenges that threaten to destroy their most valuable treasure, their friendship. Okay. Sounds like
We three in space.
Okay, now, if it ends like We Three, I don't know that I need to read
I don't know
this.
if I've got the mental fortitude.
For those of you who don't know, Grant Morrison wrote a heart-wrenching story that sounds sort of similar, but goes a very different way than I think this one is going to go. Pornsak Pitchett wrote The Good Asian in 2022. It was on one of my best of lists for that year. That dude is amazing. We've never seen him do sci-fi. I got to see what goes on here. This sounds like it could be lighthearted and fun, or it could also be kind of gut-wrenching. I'm not sure, but it'll probably be a little mixture of both. I'm in.
Well, they invoke the name of Homeward Bound, which any Gen X or elder millennial will tell you is a pretty sappy Pets on the Run movie. So
Never saw it.
Probably some. Well, I was a little too old for it, but yeah. So elder millennial, I guess. It's Pets on the Run. There's peril. It's probably something very similar, but this seems way more dangerous. The stakes are higher.
Sure. There was a pug in that movie, and I never saw this. Or no, it's a cat. Never mind, it's a cat. It's 2 dogs and a cat.
Well,
I just saw a little picture of the movie. The movie. I was like, "Is that a pug?" I'm like, nah, it's a cat.
The THN must-read trade for next week is something a little bit different. It is Limited Collector's Edition number 51 Facsimile Edition from DC Comics. Story by Denny O'Neil with art by Neil Adams and Irv Novick. It's 80 pages for $14.99. What's Limited Collector's Edition number 51, Joe? Well, here, I'll tell you.
I don't know.
I'll tell you right now. Presenting 76 pages of epic adventure starring the Dark Knight detective in an equally epic giant size 10 by 13 format. This full facsimile reprinting of the iconic Bronze Age tabloid size comic features a wraparound cover by Neil Adams and collects the Ra's al Ghul saga that Neil and Irv Novick produced with Denny O'Neil.
Okay.
It collects Batman 232 and 242 through 244. So it's 4 issues. I'm counting it as a trade. It's 80 pages, but it is a tabloid size comic like DC and Marvel used to put out in the 70s.
Okay.
And this is like a page for page facsimile, so ads and all, of that edition. And it is the reprint of Ra's al Ghul's first appearance and Batman's first battle against him. These are the comics that we talk about when we say Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil created the Dark Knight detective that almost all of us grew up reading. That's these comics.
I have never read any of those.
I haven't either.
Okay, Slack issues.
Slack issues.
There we go. All right. Macho, cue the Biker Mice from Mars theme song.
Affirmative.
Biker Mice from Mars. Biker Mice from Mars.
Want to know what else is coming out next week? Join our Discord where we post the new Comic Book Day shipping list and we host our new Comic Book Talk. And be sure to pre-order our picks so you can read along with us and then fight with us about our reviews after the next new comic show. We love fighting.
It's
with
just
you guys.
wholesome.
It's
It's wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Excelsior! Oh.
That is it for THN 734. Next time on the new comic show, new comics reviews return. And we're going to give you a sneak peek.
What a coincidence.
I know, right? Of our Patreon Extra, where we're going to do a Cosmic Short Box and we're going to read these 4 damn issues of Denny O'Neil. And
yeah, Limited Collector's Edition number 51.
We're doing it. We're going to read Limited Collector's Edition number 41. What a terrible name, by the way. It's a terrible
Well, it was a series, so there was a bunch of them.
Okay, whatever. And if that's not enough, join us for the THN Gang Hang on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central. We love to talk about whatever you want to talk about, the week's news, new comics, anything. Bring some stuff to talk about, all right? So it's not just Joe yapping at you. We do it every Saturday, 11 Central. Check out our Discord for details. Joe Patrick, what else can they do on this Discord?
Well, Matt, I'll tell you. You can join our South by Southwest watch party and scream Tom Brevoort's name every time there's an X-Men announcement in real time. I am telling you, I have a feeling right now we are going to be kind of underwhelmed. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling I have. I don't know why. It just is.
Marvel's but they're making a big swing here with the South by Southwest.
I know
shit.
they're making a big swing.
They better have something. They better have something.
No shade intended for any of the writers that are wink, wink, nudge, nudge, rumored to be involved.
Yeah.
Gail Simone. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
You can celebrate my latest nerd bet victory for calling my shot on the final status of Marvel's new Sentry, or Solaris, or whatever the hell they're calling her. Or maybe you just want to discuss our question of the week. This week's question is courtesy of Joe Reynolds. What amazing comic creator hit the main stage with a big splash, only to fade away and never be seen again? A one-hit wonder, so to speak. I knew my answer immediately.
Did you? I'm gonna have to check.
I did.
I'm gonna have to check because like Saul Goodman is like right there. I don't know.
Saul Good Sam.
Saul Good Sam or whatever. Yeah. Saul Good Sam might be my answer. I don't know.
Saul Good Sam is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please keep your question of the week suggestions coming and sign up for our Discord with the link at twoheadednerd.com/Discord. We will talk about your answers on this week's Gang Hang. If you don't dig on Discord, send an MP3 submission for the Comic Pushers, for Ask a Nerd, or for whatever, to twoheadednerd@gmail.com, and we'll put your ass on the show.
If you're new to this show and you like hanging out in the jerk store that is the internet, I assure you it's only because you haven't heard enough. The good news is you can hear the entire MTHN in our digital longbox archive at twoheadednerd.com. THN is a listener-supported podcast. It would not be possible without the generosity of donors like our patron, the aforementioned Joe Reynolds. I thought you had a different word there, and I was like, shit, did Joe Reynolds die? If you like what you hear every week, it's easy to support the show. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/twoheadednerd. Aforementioned meaning we just mentioned him, not passed on to the nether world.
We mentioned them before.
Yes.
Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to one of the oldest friends of the show in more ways than one, Phil Hester, who became a grandpa for the first time this week.
Gross.
He didn't have 2 grandkids this week. I mean, it's his first grandkid.
That dude is so old. Gross.
You know,
God.
where do you, Gramps? And hey, mazel tov, Bubala.
Until next time, true believers, remember to pre-order your comics. If your retailer might just knock up your grandpa. I'm pretty sure that's where grandkids come from. This is the Two-Headed Nerd signing off.
Yeah, the science checks out.